back quick.
The great consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters, I thank you so much for remembering our big brother. He has been an inspiration to all of us, and I hope and pray that those of us coming up will live up to the standards that he lived. And we pray that at the time that we also pass away, somebody will remember us. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
On Saturday, the 26th of July, at 8:30 a.m. at the Theodosia Oko Hockey Stadium in Accra, the President John Atta Mills Hockey Tournament will take place to climax the 13th anniversary celebration. All are invited as well. At this juncture, let me take this opportunity on behalf of the board and the Advisory Council to thank the Planning Committee. To mention a few in no particular order: Emilia Atta, Eric Osei Owusu, Sylvanus Tamaklo, Kwame Prepra, Ludwig Lodge, Kwame Ahoy, Kofi Totobi Kwachi, Kwesi Ahoy, Ni Jangba Vanderpoy, Ni Lante Vanderpoy, Daniela Matthias, and Atu Ahoy. The list is far from exhaustive, but due to time constraints, I plead for forgiveness if I have left your name out. We take this opportunity to thank the numerous philanthropists, donors, whose actions have made these events a success over the years. Special mention is made of the input of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, and Her Excellency Professor Naana Jane Opoku Agyemang, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Mention must be made of the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, who has been quite generous to us. Honorable, we are grateful. We extend our deep appreciation to Nadu Ernestina Mills, wife of President Mills, for her continued support for our activities. Thanks to one and all for continuing with us on our journey of ensuring the legacy of this great icon of our land endures forever. God bless us all. His Excellency John Atta Mills, late President of the Republic of Ghana, and the only President of Ghana to have died in office, was a unique individual who touched the lives of many people in a positive manner. The essence of leadership is to give hope. And President Mills gave us so much hope for a better Ghana for all. Forthright, calm, God-fearing, and God-loving, a man of peace and a father for all, President Mills ensured that he left an enduring mark, a legacy, a heritage in a country which continues to miss him 13 years after his death.
We'll be able to move forward in leaps and bounds, and Ghana will continue to be a beacon to the rest of Africa. Ghana has been transformed. I keep telling people, Ibineze Obanapa, Ibineze Obewia, Ibineze Obenyabere. When Siamutan, the good Lord will be with us all.
Professor John Atta Mills
was born in Tapa in the western region, but hailed from a Konfutun in the central region. He received formal education at Achimota School, where he completed the advanced level certificate in 1963, and the University of Ghana, Legon, where he completed a law degree in 1967. While pursuing a PhD in law from the prestigious School of Oriental and African Studies in London, the Prof, as he was affectionately called, was selected as a Fulbright scholar at Stanford Law School in the United States in 1971. He earned his PhD at age 27 in taxation and economic development.
If you are enjoying, whilst the generality of the people are wallowing in poverty, this must come to an end. And I'm sure you, Attah Mills and the NDC will provide the needed relief. May God bless us all. The elections are near. We don't promise you the moon. We think that politics is about human beings. That's all. That is all.
Welcome to your delegation, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this very warm reception. My delegation and I are really honored to be here today. First, to say a big thank you to you, Mr. President, for the honor done us by singling us out for your visit to Africa on assumption of office. It really inspired us. And I'm also here to also thank you for the help that we have been enjoying and for the high level of cooperation and collaboration that exists between our two countries. We share the same values of democracy. We have come to accept that democracy is the only way, and democracy goes with development. And if you come to Africa, our people are yearning for only one thing: improvement in their daily lives. And there can be no development without peace.
My brothers and sisters, we want no violence. We want no cheating. We don't want any bloodshed. I know that the good Lord himself has already blessed us. NDC will go back. It's been a long but enjoyable struggle, and I'm very grateful to the people for the confidence that they have reposed in Attah Mills and in the NDC.
His supporters branded him as Umjehene, which literally means the king of peace. One can say that the Prof was one who believed in education, and a number of projects in this area have been credited to his administration. The elimination of schools under trees, the provision of free uniforms to school children in public basic schools, and the distribution of free exercise books to
na mbiri bia bonfanda se manyankopon e owo na yeben things were not easy. We had a lot of difficulties, but we have come this far. Look, there is a lot that we can show Ghanaians that we have done for them. Along the way, we have had to make sacrifices, and many of you here have felt the force of the sacrifices that we have made. But I want to assure you that the next 4 years are going to be better. The next 4 years are going to see our dreams fulfilled, because we have been able to remove the impediments.
Away from his official duty, the Asundre Hene, as he was fondly called, was enthusiastic about sports and enjoyed field hockey and swimming. Married to Dr. Ernestina Naana Mills, a director of education and trained marriage counselor. He had a son, Sam Kofi Attah Mills. On 24th July 2012, at 2:15 p.m., Professor John Atta Mills passed on after a short ailment at the 37 Military Hospital.
Fellow countrymen and women, our nation has been hit by an unprecedented tragedy. Our nation is in mourning at the sudden and untimely death of the President of the Republic of Ghana and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Professor John Atta Mills. For the first time in the history of our dear country, we have lost a sitting president who worked so tirelessly for his people. Madam Speaker, the President was taken ill around noon today. He was rushed to the 37 Military Hospital, and try as the medical team did, they were not able to avert this tragic loss. The President passed away at 14:15 hours this afternoon. This is the saddest day in our nation's history. Fears have engulfed our nation, and we are deeply saddened and distraught.
It is the wish of many Ghanaians that he finds rest in the bosom of his Maker. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
May God continue to bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation greater and stronger.
Colonel Atachi and Colonel Lawson, I had managed to sneak past Mr. Martin Newman and Mr. Bebaku Mensah, the two tigers at the door. So I used to deal through Colonel Atachi and Colonel Lawson and get in there and make my request, and then Prof would call Mr. Newman and he would wonder, how did you get in here? So anyway, I'd gone to see Prof to fight for some additional resources for the NCC election year activities. I met Prof in a very sad mood. He was not happy. He talked to me about very vicious media attacks, some from people who knew him better. And I said, oh, Prof, but you shouldn't be listening to the media or reading this stuff. And you need to detach completely. I then added that they would only appreciate you when you're gone. I meant after his tenure. I had no way of knowing that would be my last physical meeting with Prof. After Prof's death, I was put on the funeral committee, and I was part of those working on publications, compiling all his tributes from the many diverse sources into the tribute book and editing them. What struck me was the most beautiful tributes Prof received, submitted by some of the very same people we had discussed attacking him in the media shortly before he died. And I learned a huge lesson. To serve well in public service, you must do right by God, by conscience, and by the law. You must be ready to suffer the attacks of people from the lenses of current affairs. But you must be certain in the knowledge that history will always vindicate the just. I held these lessons closely in my time. As I conclude these reflections on Professor John Atta Mills, the man, the teacher, and the president, I am struck by the timeless relevance of his example. In a world that often seems to reward cynicism over idealism, self-interest over service, and division over unity, Professor Mills's life stands as a beacon of what is possible when leadership is rooted in character, guided by principle, and dedicated to the common good. One of the most remarkable aspects of Prof's life was its integration. Prof was not three different people, the man, the teacher, and the president, but one person whose character, values, and principles remained consistent across all roles and contexts. The humility that characterized him as a man informed his approach as a teacher and shaped his style as president. This integration is perhaps Prof's most important lesson for all of us, but especially for young people who are still forming their identities and choosing their paths. Prof showed us that it is possible to be authentic and consistent, to maintain one's principles while adapting to different roles and responsibilities. As we honor Prof's memory, we must also commit ourselves to continuing his work. This is not just the responsibility of those who knew him personally, but of all Ghanaians and all Africans who share his vision of a better future. For young people, it is important to pursue excellence in your education and your work, to seek out mentors and to be willing to learn, to take advantage of opportunities to serve others, and commit yourself to building the kind of society that Professor Mills envisioned. For leaders at all levels, it is important that we invest in young people, that we create opportunities for their development and advancement, that we lead with integrity and humility, and to remember that leadership is ultimately about service, not privilege. For all of us, we need to embody the values that Professor Mills exemplified: honesty in our dealings, compassion in our relationships, excellence in our work, and service in our communities. Professor Mills once said that, "My doors are always open. We'll make sure to provide the resources and make the necessary contacts. As a government, we will give you the fullest support." These words capture the essence of his approach to leadership and mentorship throughout his life. Even in death, Prof's doors remain open. His example continues to teach us, his vision continues to inspire us, and his legacy continues to challenge us to be better than we are. He remains our eternal teacher, showing us through his life what is possible when character meets opportunity, when principles guide power, and when service defines success. Prof understood that the ultimate measure of any generation is not what it accomplishes for itself, but what it makes possible for the next generation. He dedicated his life to ensuring that young people's dreams were not destroyed, but nurtured, supported, and given the opportunity to flourish. Today, as we face new challenges and new opportunities, we must ask ourselves, are we nurturing the dreams of our young people? Are we creating opportunities for them to serve and lead? Are we providing them with the education, the mentorship, and support they need to build a better future? Professor Mills would want us to answer these questions not just with words, but with actions. He would want us to open our doors as he opened his, to provide resources and support as he provided them, and to believe in young people as he believed in us. I have wondered many times, would Prof be happy with us, with me, with the current state of Ghana? I think Prof would be outraged at how we are permitting galamsey to damage our environments, our bodies, and our future. Prof would be sad at the level of lies and vitriol we hurl at each other daily in the media, especially online. The rabid partisanship would probably depress Prof. But Prof would also be happy that his wife, his son, and his family are thriving. They are still standing. Prof would be pleased that many of his students and mentees are leading lights in business, in the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. I think Prof would be happy that his political party, the National Democratic Congress, that he made so many sacrifices for, is back in power.
Warrior said, this is gungulum, 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 gung. This is Ghana News TV. The time is 6 o'clock. Let me follow. Ghana.
So send this cafe amanoni aba Africa ha. You Fi. Say ye fear wo pese won tono. You Fi. E dan ya na say Japade a wani da so a wo pese oto wa Africa ha no. You Fi. So wo send this sika ama odofo e de aboa no wo Africa ha. You Fi. Sanso e na say wo tie obi school fees ama no a. You Fi. Nyenti a make come full Fi ama on say utimi send this car e fa Fi so a e ma ni begu bank account mu sanso e na timi begu mobile money account mu. Eno achi nso no de bia Fi e wo daily rate a e ma hu sika dodo a wo send a wo benya. Fi e secured na wo send this car enche na nipa a wo send ama no ne nsa aka. Fi wo USA, Canada, UK, Italy, Germany, Ireland, Netherlands, Spain, Belgium, Portugal and France. What the Fi send this car untu ahwe bomodi an dey use me code NEWS news na say any day they can register or Fi so a unya bonus sanso and use chen so a ye wo bonuses ahodo a ye de ma.
Follow and watch Ghana News TV.
In an era when political integrity often seemed like an oxymoron, Mills stood as a beacon of moral leadership. His integrity was not situational, it was absolute. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, current president of Nigeria, best captured this aspect of Prof in his tribute when Prof died. He said, President Atta Mills was a man with a profound, comprehensive intellect. Unlike many individuals whose public courage as a politician diverges negatively from their private persona, the private and public morals and practices of this man were undifferentiated. There was no seam dividing the public official from the private man. He was guided by a moral compass that did not waver according to the circumstance. Before President Tinubu knew this, those of us who were his students knew this already. Interesting story from first year. We had decided to go to London over the summer holidays to job. My first challenge, of course, was getting a visa. I went for the visa interview, and the official interviewing me asked me what I was going to do in London for 3 months. I told him I was going to see the sights. And he said, you're a law student. I said, yes. He said, okay. Can I advise you? I said, sure. He said, before you become a lawyer, make sure you become a better liar. I said, thank you. I got my visa, and with my roommates, we went off to London to job. Then the university reopened, and we were late. I managed to get into Ghana before my 2 roommates, and I managed to get myself registered for second year. My 2 roommates came back, and they were told by the dean that they had been deferred for 1 year. One of my roommates, Irama, was actually a niece of Professor Mills, who was vice dean. So we figured, go to Prof's home, go and plead, and of course, if Prof makes a case for Irama, it means everybody else can sneak through. So Irama goes to Mills's house that evening and comes back to our room, very, very angry. We said, what did Prof say? Oh, Prof said, it's only 1 year. It doesn't matter. You can study French or computer during that 1 year. So at that point, everybody else knew that there was no hope. Irama spent the year studying French. So we knew that his approach to corruption was uncompromising. So when he said, I would not spare any government official, be it past or present, who would be found guilty of embezzling state funds, it was not political rhetoric. It was a moral conviction that guided his administration. Prof was also fundamentally a man of peace. This was not passive pacifism, but active peacemaking. He understood that peace was not merely the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice, understanding, and mutual respect. His philosophy of peace was captured in his words. We are going to ensure that there is peace before, during, and after the election. Because when there is no peace, it's not the elites who will suffer. It's the ordinary people who have elected us into office. When we were students, Prof told my class, this was the peacemaker, that as far as possible, we should make sure we are not the reason for anyone losing their job. Many of my classmates remember this caution. We can't remember what we were talking about. Later in my public life, trying to be the good mentee, I applied this advice to my own significant harm. But the good thing was, Prof was right. There was peace because I took the path of peace. So, peaceful Prof still wins the day. But there's also another story one of the students told me that showed me that although it was good that Prof was peaceful, Prof would have been a very poor litigation lawyer. So Commonwealth boys went on a protest and misbehaved very badly. In their words, they disciplined a particular student. So the head of their JCR was in trouble. And the student who had been disciplined was a relative of Prof Mills and went to hire Prof as his lawyer. Prof calls the dean of students and says he wants to see the Commonwealth president and ask him that, were you people went to do ABC? And he said, yes. Prof said, let me advise you. Go quickly to the student who was disciplined and go and beg and make peace. Because I know it was a prank that went too far, but if it goes to court, you guys can be in a lot of trouble. The guy quickly sneaked there. He didn't even tell Prof that he was also the chief choir master. And he went and he apologized and made peace, and that's how the matter died. So most litigation lawyers would know that this is not the path to making money, but that was Prof. But Prof's character was also shaped by his love of sports and by his being a family man and a Christian. He loved sports. Everyone knew this, particularly hockey. He played for the Ghana national hockey team, and he learned valuable lessons about teamwork, discipline, and fair play. The values from the hockey field, working together toward common goals, respecting teammates and opponents, understanding that individual success means nothing without team success, would later inform his political leadership. Most of my law school colleagues would recall male students gathered around Prof after lectures. They were not discussing law or tax. They were discussing football. That was the measure of the man. Behind the public figure was a devoted family man, married to Ernestina Attah Mills, with son Kofi Sam, and many siblings and extended family. His approach to family life reflected the same values that guided his public service: love, respect, commitment, and sacrifice. Mills's character was deeply rooted in his Christian faith as a Methodist. His belief in divine providence gave him strength to persevere through political defeats and personal challenges. He genuinely believed that his talents and opportunities were gifts to be used in service of others and not privileges to be enjoyed for personal benefit. The character of John Atta Mills, the man, created the foundation for everything he would accomplish as a teacher and as a president. His humility made him approachable. His integrity earned him trust across divides. His commitment to peace created stability for progress, and his love of learning inspired others to pursue excellence. For most Ghanaians lawyers of my generations, we knew Mills more as a teacher. We are very glad that when Professor Mills returned to Ghana after Stanford Law School, he chose the path of academia and did not pursue more lucrative opportunities in private practice or international organizations. Mills' first formal teaching assignment was as a lecturer at the Faculty of Law at the University of Ghana, Legon. And he would spend the next 25 years in this role, rising to Associate Prof in 1992. But the real measure of Mills, the teacher, lies not in his academic achievements or the many papers that he authored, though they were considerable. But the real measure was the impact he had on the minds and hearts and lives of his students. Mills taught us that reputation built in silence lasts longer than applause. For Prof, the classroom was more than a venue for transmitting information. It was a sacred space where minds were opened, characters were formed, and futures were shaped. Students who attended his law classes remember a professor who demanded excellence, but provided the support necessary to achieve it. He had very high expectations, and his marks were usually very low. But he also had high investments in our success. Mills understood that teaching law was not just about imparting legal knowledge, it was about developing legal minds. He taught his students not just what to think, but how to think. He emphasized critical analysis, logical reasoning, and ethical reflection. He wanted his students to understand not just the letter of the law, but its spirit and its purpose. He saw law as a tool for addressing social justice or for enabling social justice and national development. He did not see legal education as merely professional training, but as preparation for service to society. Hence his earlier admonition about not being the cause of anyone losing their job. He also emphasized the importance of integrity in legal practice. He understood that as lawyers, we would face situations where we could choose between personal gain and professional ethics. Through his teaching and personal example, he sought to instill in his students the moral foundation necessary to make the choice. And this teaching went beyond the classroom to his approach to everything. Honorable Naana and her friends were living on campus, and Mills was teaching at the law school. His lectures were at 7 a.m. in the morning because he had to lecture before going to the IRS. And he started giving a group of them lifts to Makola. So when there were 2, it was fine. But as word spread, they became 3, and then 4, and then 5. So now, Prof decided that when he gets there, he's not going to decide who gets into his car. The first ones to arrive get the lift. And that was Prof. Always fair, even in the little decisions. While he was an excellent classroom teacher, his greatest impact as an educator came through his mentorship relationships with individual students. Prof had an extraordinary ability to identify potential in young people and to nurture that potential through guidance, encouragement, and opportunity. As one of his students in both commercial law and company law, I experienced firsthand the transformative power of Prof's mentorship. Prof saw something in me that I had not yet seen in myself. He challenged me to think more deeply, to write more clearly, and to aspire more boldly. But more than that, Prof believed in me at a time when I was still learning to believe in myself. Mills was particularly committed to mentoring young women in law, recognizing the barriers we faced and the potential it represented. Lady Julia Osei and myself were 2 young women who probably would not have been able to obtain our Master of Laws degrees without the support of Prof Mills. He was a constant referee on every young student applicant for graduate work.
distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen.
So send this cafe amanoni aba Africa ha Usulem fi say ye fear wo pese wo ntono Usulem fi edan ya na say japade a wani da so a wo pese oto wa Africa ha no Usulem fi say wo send this sika ama odofo e de aboa no wo Africa ha Usulem fi sanso e na say wo tie obi school fees ama no a Usulem fi nyenti American full em fi ama on say utimi send this sika e fa lem fi so a e ma ne begu bank account mu sanso e na timi begu mobile money account mu eno achi nso no de bia lemfi e wo daily rate a e ma hu sika dodo a wo sende a wo benya lemfi e ye secured na wo send this car enche na nipa a wo sende ama no ne nsaka lemfi wo USA Canada UK Italy Germany Ireland Netherlands Spain Belgium Portugal and France what the lemfi send this car untu ahwe bomodi a dey use me code NEWS news na say ene any day di kan o register o lemfa so a unya bonus sanso ena use chen so a ye wo bonuses ahodo a ye de ma
Menu makwekwe sa sempa kania. Seme nam na meti asempa no mamo amane a na ma no keka me. Anyem bia what ANS Trading Agency Limited nka. Sa wo ka say door to door for no de na watwa. Esanse obi ne wa wo say won wo sa door to door business nim. Wo nneoma wo UK a wo de ko Ghana. Ana say Germany a wo de ko Ghana. 3 to 5 weeks e be kwa kodu nipa ne puno anu say try. Na de mo mo demonstration wo say dwuma de we mu ne say wo ho bo no. E da form say boko. ANS Trading Agency Limited. Ewo air freight special service. And onneoma ne ye de be fa plane. Entintempa na akwa kodu. Obetima fa sa plan we ya so de nneoma free Ghana akwa UK ana Germany. FGG dem which na also agina ye na men drop bomb. ANS Trading Agency Limited pe and a 40 footer any 20 footer container. Ya fe UK ediko Ghana ana Germany ediko Ghana. Omo manuoma ye mere import o export o dem there for you. Omo Ghana na money 0249 170 423. UK has over free 0790 802 7527. Germany 09173 771 2733. Ubenya ANS Trading Agency Limited. Our West Croydon ANS Trading Agency Limited. Quantum Brantam. Wana bebo ya baso. Maybe next time in your fill up from the bebro.